We took a break there, but we were talking about, people and everything that we just go through in life. Fear is going to be a part of your life. It's not a daily part. Well, I don't know.
For some people.
For some people it is. And you look at the people who have like agoraphobia. You have, I was just in the place, Office Depot, and there was a guy in there wearing a mask that worked there, and I could not hear him. So I kept getting close to him, like, do what? Because I can't hear. And every time I get close to him, he'd get further away, and I'm like, are you still living in that?
People living in fear, man.
People living in fear.
And you know what? Shame on the government and the media for doing that. I mean, just in that sense, right? Shame on them all.
Well, they use fear for control.
That's exactly what they do.
Control the masses.
And so do politicians.
Absolutely they do. Yeah. And, it's something you can't live with day in day. I like what you said. You have healthy fears. You have things we respect. But there are new phobias out. What people are afraid of clowns. Now, the arachnophobia is real.
Hey. Yeah.
I used to be scared of spiders. Now I'm not. If my daughter and I will go grab wolf spiders. We're like, hey, baby, look,
nice.
Play with them.
Yeah, that's all. Y'all can have all that you want.
And I always have to tell her, quit bringing them in the house because, they get out, and not that I'm scared of them, but I don't want to have an infestation, And the other thing is too, I tell her, don't bring them in the house because some of the things she brought in, they die immediately. We have an exterminator. So, if they run around on the floor in certain areas, they're dead. And some spiders they're good spiders.
Until she runs in and goes, Daddy, look, this one's got a red diamond on his back.
Now she does know, that's the same thing with snakes. There's not a snake she won't pick up, but she knows the ones not to touch. And so what she wanted to do, she found a copperhead, and I created a fear. I told her one day there was a poisonous snake, and I said, hey, if that wouldn't have crawled off, if you grab it by the tail and you whip it, it kills them instantly.
Right.
Well, now she wants to do it. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, because now you walk outside, there's a pile of dead snakes in your backyard.
And then she's going to grab the wrong. She's going to get bit. But I created that. That was something I created. She never would have thought to do that. Mm-hmm. So now I'm scared when my daughter goes out with her friends. Leave the snakes alone, baby. So, and she's like that. So we just got back from Missouri. 2 turtles she caught. She caught a turtle swimming in the middle of Table Rock Lake. It's 20 feet deep. This turtle, she dives down and catches it. I'm talking about big turtle, comes up, brings it on the boat, big snapping turtle. She caught bullfrog tadpoles. I mean, it's not
being a kid.
It's being a kid. But then I say the one thing, yeah, you can do this to a snake. And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Mm-hmm. Way to go, Dad.
Yep. And they'll hang on to it. Our words mean things at that age.
They won't forget.
Young, right? I mean, I get called to the table. I get called to the carpet all the time for something I said with Cyrus. Cyrus would be, but Daddy, you said this. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah. Well, hypothetical, son.
Yeah. Not always. And then you're having to explain your way out of it. I don't want him fearing everything, right?
Yes.
When Cyrus was young, okay, he was a year and a half. Yeah. And we were walking out of a motorsports dealer. We were buying a 4-wheeler. And when we were walking out, my ankle caught the side of the handicap ramp, the ADA ramp, right? And it twisted. Well, I was holding Cyrus, okay? Whenever I fell, I kind of pushed him out to the side so I didn't land on him because I didn't want him underneath me when I fell. And he hit the ground. And when he did, he broke his elbow. And I think that kind of started a fear in me, like, hey, this is something that he's fragile. He's, and I had to wing myself off of that. I had to condition myself to not be that way because for a few months after that, I was always like, treating him with baby gloves and, he's walking around with his camouflage cast on. But there was a very healthy fear that something could happen to him. How bad could that have gone?
Could have gone very bad.
And I went back to the place and they had it on video and all of what happened. And I wasn't happy about it, but they even told me, they're like, well, you got him out to the side. You didn't land on him. But I remember that feeling because Tia and I went home. We still didn't know anything was really wrong until we touched his elbow later that night, and he immediately screamed. And we're like, okay,
Yeah.
something's wrong. We took him straight to the hospital. And of course, they checked, they did an x-ray, but then we had to go through all now they wanted to x-ray.
What happened?
Yes. Yeah. And they wanted to x-ray him and check for any other broken bones and all that. And I understand that they have to go through that, but they have to do their due diligence, right? To check to make sure. And I understand that, but it still was a sick feeling being there watching my son in pain. And that did create a fear in me.
Yeah.
But I have to be careful how I communicate those fears to him.
Yeah. Because a fear can lead into a phobia.
Yeah.
To where it's like, well, I got sunburned. I just won't go in the sun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people like that. They go to the extreme, and when you find balance in the things that you're afraid of, the only way you're going to find that balance is you got to face them.
Yep.
And now, if your fear is sharks, that's a healthy fear. Stay away from them. I'm scared of sharks. We were just down at the beach.
Throw some dynamite in there, some C4.
Did you see? No, you posted it. The kids that were swimming in, was it Livingston or Conroe, and those alligators?
That was in Huntsville.
That was in Huntsville.
Yeah, at the lake there.
I tell you what, that would be petrifying.
Yeah, that was that was an odd situation, wasn't it?
That is.
The alligator sitting there between them and
yeah,
and the shore.
What do you do?
I don't know. My mom told me the other day she had a dream about me chasing an alligator. I'm like, okay, well,
just get it on film.
Yeah. I don't know why I'd be chasing an alligator, but she had some type of fear or some type of dream that I was chasing an alligator.
And most people wouldn't ever think about that, because that's a situation you don't normally find yourself in. And you think, oh, I just do this. When you got a 12-foot gator out there, you ain't getting in the water.
No, and see, the thing is, that's an innate. That's something that we know that, right?
Yeah.
That's something we know, right? That's a fear. It's like, so then it becomes choices, right? You can make the choice to.
Well, then you had people like Steve Irwin is like, I'm gonna go in and see if he's had any teeth missing.
Yeah. And when all they have to do is shove the guy in next to him and swim, right?
Absolutely. All I got to do is outswim you.
Here I am talking about being kind to everyone.
Okay. Now, you just hit something. Hit something. I love people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do everything in my power to. I don't want to ever see anybody hurt. Right. I don't want to see anybody hurt emotionally or physically.
Nope.
But make no mistake, at the end of the day, if it comes down to me and my family, it's me and my family first.
Oh yeah, well, that's not an option.
Yeah, here comes a bear. Whoop! All right, let's go.
Right.
And speaking of bears, did you see where the bears swam up on Florida? These people are swimming. They see this black thing in the water, and they're like, you hear people, oh, it's a school of fish. It's all this. It was a freaking black bear. Swam right up and then took off running right down the beach. I mean, there's hundreds of people out there. That would scare me.
I think I did see that.
That would scare me. Not for the simple fact that I'm scared of bears, but when you get a bear in a frightened situation like that, out of its environment, bears. If people think bears are sweet and cuddly, you ought to see the damage koala bears have done to people. Those little teeny tiny little koala bears that are cute. And if that little thing can do that, then a 200-300 pound black bear, yeah, no thank you.
Oh yeah, try to find Mother Nature, see how that works out for you.
If you're on Instagram, there's something called Nature is Metal.
I've seen their I think I've seen their Facebook stuff.
So I joined it, and I tell you what, there's some things that you realize I shouldn't be messing around.
Don't fear Mother Nature, but respect it.
Yeah.
100%.
That's like you see the drive-through safaris they have.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the video where this lion knows how to open doors? And the lady's got on video. She's sitting in the back seat. It walks up, grabs the door handle, and opens the back door. And she jumped over and got it closed and locked it. But that dang thing, I'd be like, take me home now. I don't want to come back. Get me out of this place.
And somebody come get Simba. He's drunk.
Yeah, he's out here opening doors,
right,
harassing the people.
Yeah.
But, I think the thing about life is if you live in fear, you really miss out on life.
You miss out on you miss out on all of life.
It just keep you, and it. the crippling fear I think can move into a mental disability. That was like Howard Hughes. They found out later he had mental illness, but the guy locked himself away for years, peed in jars, and never even came out of because he was so deathly afraid of germs and getting sick. And it's sad because that was a reality to him.
Man, life is about the journey. We said it earlier. You're only here for a short amount of time.
A little bit.
And it's about the journey, and you can't experience the full journey if you're living in fear over everything. I for years I held myself back, because of fear of, am I good enough? Am I, there was doubt.
Yeah.
Right. And, of course, with my past being in recovery and dealing with some of that chaos, that wake of chaos that I left in my past, nobody's going to look at me as somebody to follow. Right. Because there's people out there that know, my past, but I had to stop that. I had to stop. The second that I stopped living in that fear, everything got better. My journey became so fulfilling.
Yeah.
Okay. And it allowed me to help other people. I wake up every single day. How can I help someone else? Whenever I start a kids class, because I teach the kids classes, and honestly,
I've been there for a couple of them.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. I enjoy watching.
I'm telling you, that has become one of my favorite classes, right? Is watching those kids. And it,
I tell you, the one I saw, Joe, and I was like, that's awesome. That girl that was in there, you were doing how to get inside, get in, break the arms.
Get to the clinch.
That little girl was the girl you had in there. I don't know how old she was. Man, she was a hustler. She made those boys look pretty.
I've got some junior killers in there for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but they have so much fun. They're good kids. And the thing is, every single one of them has value. You have to establish positive ethos early. Yeah. With everyone, not just a kids class. With the kids class, you got to make it fun, right? But at the same time, you got to establish ethos with the parents. You got to make sure that they are getting something, that you are helping them. Every time I start a kids class, one of the things I ask the kids whenever I line them up before we bow in is, what have you done for someone else today? Have you done anything else for someone? And then I'll go down the line and I'll ask them, what did you do for somebody else today? What did you do I helped mom clean the dishes. Before they can even earn their white belt, okay, before they can even start getting promotions at our school, we have a sheet that we send home with the parents. It's got a list of chores they have to do. Yes or no, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You got to clean the table, take a bath, brush your teeth, do the things on your own without being asked. Okay, you have to do them on your own.
I like that.
And then once you sign off on it, it's almost like a contract, and your parents sign off on it, then I will hand you a white belt. You will get promoted to white belt. Then you start that journey. Okay, and I usually do that the first or second class. Right?
What is? I don't know how the belts work in BJJ, but is it
BJJ for our school will be
is it stripes?
Yeah, that's in our adult class. We use stripes.
Stripes. Okay.
Yeah, and Matt Smith, our program director, and
now
he does all our promotions.
Are y'all thinking about putting a fight camp together? Y'all have some fighters y'all are wanting to condition and put out there on the rink?
Not right now. Not right now. We have there's some people who've expressed some interest in it. Right now, we like supporting those guys and girls, and ladies. We support them, and we'll sponsor them when we can, and we provide them a place to train if they need it. And of course, a lot of them teach classes for us. We just brought on a new Muay Thai coach, and she's phenomenal. Her name's Katie McCleary, and last week she was at American Top Team training over there. She's a phenomenal Muay Thai coach, phenomenal kids coach, and she brings a whole new element. Because not only is she very good at what she does, but she also has a degree in criminology. She's working on her master's now. After that, she plans on going to get her PhD. Okay, so she's
smart and she'll whip your tail,
and she will piece you up like a Happy Meal.
One of the things that got me, I boxed and I enjoyed boxing,
Mm-hmm.
and boxing's not self-defense though. Boxing's a completely different monster.
But it sure is a good element of self-defense.
It is. But I'm going to tell you, the first time I ever got into a ring with somebody, and it wasn't even a ring, we were just on mats. I learned to respect leg kicks so much that if you think you're a boxer and you get into a ring with somebody and they kick you and land on the inside of your thigh 2 or 3 times, the whole time now you're no longer worried about your hands, you're worried about their legs.
Right.
And that changed that was a game changer. I'm like, please.
It does. Well, it adds other things that you gotta deal with.
Yeah.
You gotta deal with a person who has more weapons than just their hands, and that's what's so cool about Muay Thai too. Muay Thai is the art of 8 limbs, so 2 hands, 2 elbows, 2 knees, 2 feet. So there's a lot of weapons there. That's why we utilize it.
I'm gonna go get my salt gun here in a second.
And start shooting these flies.
This freaking fly gun.
Make sure you lead them.
Right. But so y'all have so many great things going on right now, and I've made it out there a couple times, and
yeah, you married somebody in our gym a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
that was a first, wasn't it?
That was a first, and super nice couple. I mean, just seem like sweethearts.
Oh, Letty and Travis are great,
and
they're so. It's David, the community that we built up there is so strong, and that honestly, that was T and I's goal, was to create that. Right, that's what we wanted more than anything, because whenever you create that kind of community, there's power in that. Right?
In that loving environment, and what I mean, it alleviates people's fears, and they walk in like,
100%.
okay, this isn't a clique, this isn't I'm going to feel out of place. No, I'm part of something.
Yeah, we want them to feel welcome coming in. We want them to, any anxiety or angst or fear that they had beforehand, they come in and after the first class, they're like, okay, this is going to be okay.
Looking back, I was like, man, we should have at the ring is they should have gotten to an arm bar. And him put the ring on doing an arm bar. Oh, but that was awesome. That was a first.
That was a first.
And
we don't mind. And see, that's the thing, is within that community that we are building over there, and it's growing. And we want to do things like that. One of our coaches is having he's having his shower there. They're having their baby shower there.
Well, that's awesome.
A buddy of mine, Ray and Allison, they had their gender reveal there, and Ray and Allison, Ray's he's the head Muay Thai coach over at Revolution Dojo downtown. Phenomenal people. But they had their gender reveal there. I've got a coach who's having his baby shower there. We had the wedding there. We have events like that to build that stronger community.
And it does.
That's
the second. There was people training. The second they walked up, everybody stopped. Everybody gathered around, and I'm like, well, I've never done this before, so first I want to make them happy and proud.
And you did. They loved it.
And they were super nice, and that was the first time I'd seen Tia in a while. And it's funny, as I was sitting there, she's like,
she hadn't gotten any taller.
Yeah. What's funny is she actually said to me, "Have you gotten taller?"
Maybe, honey, you're just getting shorter.
Well, I think I've lost a little bit of I've been trying to work out a little more, so I've lost a little weight, so I'm standing a little more upright. It's funny how that weight can push you over.
It's weird, huh?
Especially dealing with the back injury. How's the hip?
Hip is starting to heal up. I've been training. I trained some last week. I'm gonna train again tonight. I'm working in slowly. I'm working with partners that that are good to work with. They have experience, so they're not gonna
fly, bro.
I see him. He's looking right at me too.
It's the third guest.
You better start living in fear, son.
You better start living in fear, because when that shotgun comes out,
we're bringing the salt gun out.
Those things are awesome.
They are pretty cool.
And living in the country, you're going to have flies.
And he's still sitting there, isn't he?
He's just chilling, man.
He's just hanging out.
No, what's funny is
on the podcast,
I keep it so cold in my house that when flies come in there, they won't move. If they're in there for more than 5 minutes,
good.
They get too cold, so you can just walk up. If he'll land, I can teach you how to catch a fly every single time by hand.
Really?
Every time. I'm great at parties.
One of those talents, huh?
A friend of mine, Jody Summerall, who is a confidant, a guy that I really respected. He's passed away, but one day we were sitting at a barbecue, and he's like, "Man, I'm going to teach you a party trick where you can tell people, hey, I'll bet you $20 I can grab that fly." It works. It's worked every time with me. Every time you can grab them. And I watched him sit there and grab 10 or 15 of them. And I'm like, what the heck? It's just a trick, and it works with any fly. I'm full of useful
I
knowledge,
you
dude.
know, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
You know,
Now I wish
you're great at parties.
I wish he'd land, man. Here's one of the things like earlier today. I got up and we were out of town for a while, and you know how when you get off kilter and you kind of get out of your routine. So I'm trying to get back into
When
things.
you need a vacation from your vacation.
So it was me, it was myself, my daughter, and my nephew. We had a great time. But for me, yes, I got some relaxing time. But a lot of times, so a kid's vacation, we're going nonstop. My vacation, I want to sit on a front porch somewhere, have a good meal, and just chill, relax, see some good scenery, maybe go piddle around some. That's me. But with them, you don't really don't get to relax because I'm constantly, and we're in water, and they have lifeguards and everything. But once again, I don't fully trust to place my daughter's hands into strangers' hands. So I'm watching.
Fear in that.
Yeah, the whole time I'm watching, and it's funny though. She went off the 10-foot cliff jump, probably 10 times. Well, they have a 25-foot. I'm like, go do that one. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Finally talked her into doing it. I got it on video. But after she did it over and over and over. She's like, well, I don't know why I was so scared of that.
She overcame her fears.
She overcame her
And guess what? There's growth in that.
And she was scared of something she never even tried.
Right.
And I told her, hey, there's going to be things in life, Not even 5 minutes later, Joe, I brought 3 4-pound tomahawk steaks. So I pull them out at the beach, man. There is probably 1,500 people there. And I pull these huge steaks out, and man, people are like looking, man. I got them on the grill.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I made
You're great at parties.
Oh, I'm great at parties. And more people get, hey, where do we get a steak at? I'm like, these are from Texas. Because one thing you don't realize, some of these places you go, they don't have the selection like we have on certain things. Now, you get closer to Kansas City,
Right.
But so I'm cooking it. I cut up some squash. My nephew, it took 15 minutes last time I took him to Dripping Springs for him to eat one bean, and I had to pay him. One bean. So he's sitting there, and I'm like, hey, you want some of this? He thought it was potatoes. So, man, he's eating them. So I take a video, and I send it to his mom, and he's eating them. And finally I tell him, that's not potatoes, buddy. Well, what is it? I said, that's zucchini and squash. And he's like, what? If he'd have known that from the beginning, he never would have tried it. Wouldn't have touched it.
And think about what people are missing out on when they let fear drive them like that.
It's sad. And that was one of the things we hit when we look at what fear did with close-knit families, this whole COVID deal. I mean, there's some, they still don't talk to each other because of the vaxxers, anti-vaxxer, you got all this. And I personally know families who they're like, don't come to our house, don't talk to us, don't call us. You didn't get the jab, so stay away from us. And still to this day, they don't communicate. And then now you get on the news and they're like, well, we were wrong about this and we were wrong. And it's like, y'all did unreconcilable things just about over fear.
Yep.
Over something we didn't fully understand.
Yep. They drove profits through fear. That's what they did.
That's exactly what they did. And then sometimes you say and do things you can't take back. Fear, and that's one thing. So
that's a good topic.
And I explained this to my daughter. If you have somebody who's afraid of water and somebody pushes them in the water, don't you laugh at them. That fear they have is real. I told her, and if you think you're going to get in the water and help them get out, they will drown you, climbing up on top of you to get out of the water when somebody has a true fear. So when somebody has a real fear, just because it's not real to you, doesn't mean it's not real.
Right.
It just means that that's an area, and I have seen people, and swimming's one of them. Like, I remember we were out on a lake. I watched a grown man, and I want to be careful not to say his name, but because he lives pretty close to here. I watched a grown man crawl off a dock onto the boat and got in the middle of the boat with a life jacket on a pontoon boat and like laid out. That's how deathly afraid he is of water.
So then our job maybe is to help people overcome fear.
Yeah.
Because that to me is that person will never experience the growth and never live life to its fullest, right? Life is about the journey.
It's the journey. And then, some people use the John Wayne method. John Wayne method would just pick them up, throw them in the water, and say, well, there, look, you're making it. Now he'll go on boats. He's been on cruises now, but that fear was so real until he did it. And that was the other thing. He grew up, he was in a gang. He was in a very bad gang for years. He grew up in the inner city downtown Houston. They didn't go out on boats. They didn't do anything. I mean, all they did was fight over turf. That's it. And then he gets out. He moves out to Huffman. He gets away from all that stuff and starts a new life. And and he was into mixed martial arts. He's older now, but he got into mixed martial arts in downtown Houston. I can't remember the name of the guy. I remember there's a guy in Houston. You've seen the video where the fight breaks out and he tries to break it up, and finally he just hits that guy. And
oh, was that a long time ago?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was like 80s, 90s.
Right.
Well,
that was karate chops that dude in the neck.
That was his coach.
Oh wow.
So, but he did it so he could fight street fighting, and he didn't take the discipline side of it.
Right.
And once he got out here to the country, he was afraid of everything. Mosquitoes, fly. I mean, because and there was this dude who was scared over the silliest things. He just hadn't ever experienced them.
Right.
And
you touched on something a minute ago. Okay. The fear of losing control. Okay.
that's a real fear.
And what people will do to maintain that control can bring out the worst in them. Okay. And I've seen it firsthand.
I have seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
I've got a name for it. I'm going to put a name for it. So if Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz is watching, I may have somebody burn my house down. I was going to call it the controlling mother-in-law syndrome, where they will do anything to get control, and the second they feel like they lose control, they have chest pains, or they have a knee that's messed up, or they had an accident. It's just anything to keep control.
Yep.
And it could be a stepdad too. I was just throwing that out there.
Right. It could be anybody.
But
what the things that they will do to manufacture an environment or manifest an environment to maintain that control, and it's all driven by fear. It's all driven by fear.
Did you ever see the movie? I think it's called Wag the Dog, or where they basically are losing people or losing interest in their political leaders, so they fabricate a war to maintain control.
Oh, you mean like everything they've done since 9/11?
Yeah.
Not Afghanistan, of course, but
Yeah. But
I mean like Iraq.
Yeah. No comment. I got a lot to comment, but
I can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever find those weapons of mass destruction?
Nope.
And nobody's ever found them because they didn't exist.
No, but Halliburton made a shit ton of money.
Yes, they did.
I hope Liz Cheney's proud of herself for putting that intel together that she handed off to
Liz.
to Colin Powell to go give that speech at the UN.
If you go back and look at
Fear. Look at what fear did there. Look at what fear did there. Millions of people died, driven by fear.
Driven by fear. Mm-hmm. I sent this to a friend of mine yesterday. Vladimir Putin just put out a law or decree, whatever they call it, in their country.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe that Vladimir Putin came out and said, if you grow genetically modified food in my country, I'm going to treat you as a terrorist, and I will kick you out of this country. And I sat there and I was like, what? So I went and, did what limited research I knew, would look at, and sure enough, he absolutely did. And he's giving land away for people to grow real food, organic food. And I'm like, why? And then I went through and found some old articles. They are so deathly afraid to allow the American culture of food and how we look at food, operate with food, and basically have created the word he used, monuments out of food. And I was like, monuments? See the golden arches, you already know what it is, right? You don't even have to see McDonald's anymore. You see those W's, those 3 W's put together? It's Whataburger. We have made food such a recognizable deal that we eat for pleasure. And he's like, no, we want to eat to sustain. But they're so afraid to allow us to pervert the way they do things that he's saying, I will treat you like a terrorist if you do that in our country.
Yeah, he's governing through fear.
Through fear. Through fear.
And is it any? I mean, and to be honest, is it any different than the way they're doing it here?
Not at all.
No,
No,
It's
we just have the FBI come after you now. They're lynchmen.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a break.
All right.